Greetings everyone, I'm Tuber and welcome to a new Splatoon 2 video. Today I wanted to go over some of the changes that were made in the 5.5.0 version of Splatoon 2 which recently released. I'll be using the abilities you see on screen in the testing room since they don't actually affect anything, and without further ado, let's get into it. The Splash Shot, Tentative Splash Shot and Cancel Splash Shot had their maximum damage increased from 35 to 36. They also got another buff in the form of reducing the damage decay rate. After a certain point after being fired, your bullets start to gradually lose damage, so this buff reduces that damage loss over time, taking longer for the bullet to reach its minimum damage and giving you stronger and more consistent fall-offs overall. The Splat Roller, Kraken Splat Roller and Kansas Splat Roller had their ink consumption for horizontal and vertical flings reduced by approximately 5%. As you can see by the example, this is not that big of a difference, since in version 5.4 you get to use 11 flicks and in version 5.5 you get to use 11 flicks and a half. That last flick is not a full flick, but it's something I guess. For the Octobrush, Octobrush Nouveau and King's Octobrush, the ink consumption has been reduced by approximately 10% when moving while holding down the CR button. This means you will get to roll on the ground for a bit longer, but as you can see, not that much. For the Splat Dualies, Emperor Splat Dualies and Kansas Splat Dualies, the ink consumption for a dodge roll has been decreased from 9% to 7%. This is actually a pretty neat buff, and you can actually use your sub weapon and dodge rolls now. That's pretty neat. For the 52 Gal, the 52 Gal Deco and the Kensa 52 Gal, the radius of ink that lands when the player shoots far away has been decreased by roughly 5%. This is not that big of a change, but a nerf is nerf. Yeah, 52 is not dead, but there's that at least. Finally, for the special points, the Forge Bar Shot Pro has gone from 200 to 190, Luna Blaster went from 180 to 170, the Cherry H3 Nozzle Nose went from 190 to 180, Slosher Deco went from 220 to 210, Kansas Splat Dualies went from 210 to 200, and the Splatbra went from 200 to 190. Now for the special point nerfs, the Kansas 52 Gal went from 180 to 190, Custom Jet Scorcher from 180 to 190 as well, Full Squeezer went from 190 to 200, and both the E-Lear 4K and 4K Scope went from 180 to 190. Finally, a couple stage and bug fixes. In Inkblend Art Academy, there was an exploit that allowed you to go from mid of the stage to the enemy spawn in just a couple seconds, and Nintendo actually tried to fix this exploit, but as you can tell, they couldn't totally get rid of it. Admittedly, it's harder to perform, but it's still there, so I would not call it a fix. There was also an issue on a specific grade in Skipper Pavilion that could be used to get to the opponent's side. I'm actually not sure what grade they're referring to in the patch notes, but I'll just assume it's this one here I'm showing. And that's it for the patch, so let me go ahead and express my thoughts on these changes. The biggest winner in this patch were clearly the Splash Shots. The increased maximum damage from 35 to 36 will actually help them combo with the Splat Bomb and Suction Bomb more reliably for the T-Tech and K-Shot respectively. Because prior to the update, when you were running one sub of bomb defense, you could survive a bomb plus 2 shots from a T-Tech. But now you just die to it. You would actually have to run 2 subs of bomb defense to survive this combo now. Also, a quick reminder that with 2 subs of bomb defense, you also survive a burst bomb plus 2 shots from an MPU splash. So it's fair to say we will be seeing a couple more 2 sub bomb defense builds from now on. Also, the reducing the damage decay rate is pretty nice for the shots. Now you're actually able to deal 30 plus damage way more consistently. These 2 changes make all 3 shots way more consistent at actually outputting damage and killing things. So pretty nice buff for them. The Splat Roller buff honestly doesn't do much for it. That 5% in consumption reduction will stack over the course of a 5-minute match, but it's not enough of a difference to say the roller's done a pretty rough spot in the meta right now. Same thing with the Octobrush. The buff is a little bit more significant, but then again it's just a couple more frames you'll be rolling. I personally don't think it's that significant either. On the other hand, the Splat Dualies had a nice ink consumption buff for its dodge rolls. They used to be the most expensive dodge rolls in the game, but not anymore. I think this actually makes more of a difference for them. We might start to see Splat Dualies again now that they don't actually burn their ink tanks so fast. And of course, the 52 Gauss, honestly this buff won't change anything. Gauss is still kinda busted in my opinion. The weapon still paints a lot, even with the nerf. It kills pretty fast, its accuracy is pretty good for a Gauss. When you compare it to 96, it's just night and day, and you can run MP on this thing, so the accuracy is not that much of a problem, especially when you only have to land 2 shots. And you have a pretty generous fire rate, so yeah. K52 is still gonna survive a whole lot, and it's gonna do K52 things. And now for the special gauge adjustments, I'm so glad Forge went finally from 200 to 190. It makes a lot more sense. This thing has been outclassed by Full Squeezer for so long. Special points for both of these weapons were swapped by accident. Forge was meant to have 190 all along, while Full Squeezer was meant to have 200 because there was literally no reason to use Forge over Squeezer. Well, there still isn't that much of a reason. Luna Blaster going from 180 to 170 isn't that impactful. I mean, it has a better baller than most weapons, but then again, baller is still baller. It's not in a very good spot right now. But who knows, maybe Luna Blaster mains will enjoy this buff quite a bit. The Cherry H3 going from 190 to 180, very deserved. I really feel like it should have been 180 this whole time, but I don't know, Nintendo is Nintendo. Cherry H3 can't really pop its bubbles, so it being a little bit bubble spammy isn't that much of an issue. I feel like it'll most commonly use its bubbles as a second splash wall when it runs out of ink. So 180 for bubbles, pretty fair. And Slosher Deco going from 220 to 210 is not gonna do much for it. Slosher Deco used to be great. Now that you look at it, it has Sprinkler, which is not a little, it doesn't help it that much. Building up for an useless special is not the play anymore. Baller isn't what it used to be in terms of aggressive potential, sadly. So while the main weapon and the special weapon have a lot of synergy still, Baller just isn't what it used to be, so Slosher Deco is still gonna be pretty much the same. Same deal with the Kansas Plat Dualies, going from 210 to 200. Won't make that much of an impact. Dualies used to be really good, not anymore, but maybe they'll see the light of day with this new patch, who knows. Sprabla going from 200 to 190 is actually kinda nice, since, you know, this weapon consumes a lot of ink, so when it gets Ink Storm, it will refill its ink tank and will be able to output even more ink, and it won't be running out of ink that often anymore, since it also has the Sprinkler to build up the cloud. And regarding the nerfs, honestly, Kensa 52 should have went from 180 to 200. That weapon still outputs so many booyahs in the game. But with the paint nerf now and with the 10 points nerf, it'll probably get one less booyah per game, who knows. Both of those things will stack up over the course of a 5-minute game, but then again, it's K52. It's pretty insane. Custom jet going from 180 to 190, I actually called that one. My reasoning is both jets are pretty decent main weapons, but when you take out the special spammy aspect from them, they do become worse. So I feel like the devs didn't want to kill Jet that hard. I feel like they should have also toned down the vanilla jet sculpture because it's 180 for missiles, which is stupid, but you know, fair nerf for the custom jet. I might be biased because I'm a Jet player, but I wouldn't be upset if it was 200, honestly. Full Squeezer going from 190 to 200, I already talked about it with Forge, it deserves the 200 points. Full Squeezer as a main weapon is pretty hard to tone down. It takes a lot of dedication to actually learn this weapon and be good with it, because you have to have a really good aim with it. Toning down the special output from it is actually the right play in my opinion, because on top of being 100% accurate both in the air and in the ground, it gets bubbles quite often and it gets the stupid insta-pop combo, and it has a really good bomb, so yeah, I like this nerf a lot. Finally, both the Idler 4K and 4K scope going from 180 to 190, I can totally see why. I mean, with the MP effect you get thicker lines of ink whenever you shoot, and with the extra range you also get slightly more paint, so yeah, you're gonna be charging up your ink storm quite often over the course of the game. Whenever it gets a cloud, same story with Brella, you recharge your ink and this weapon consumes a lot of ink, so it gets to output even more shots and pressure the enemy more, so yeah, going from 180 to 190 makes total sense to me. This patch makes a lot of sense in many areas. It's nothing meta changing. This is not gonna change the meta in the slightest. Things are gonna be more or less the same. All these changes, while minimal, they're very welcome, and I hope we get to see more patches like this, but with slightly more content. I feel like they really missed out on buffing some of the main weapons, like Dynamo, Range Blaster, Gootuber, all of them are still kinda useless. They can barely deal with the meta, if at all. This patch also doesn't fix many of the problems the game still has. Armor is still untouched. Tentamissiles as well, though the problem with Tentamissiles is more the spammy side of them, not the missiles themselves. regardless of what I said, I still like the direction this patch is going. There's clearly way more buffs than nerfs, which I really like. I feel like that approach of buffing more things instead of nerfing everything to the ground is way more healthy for the game. But yeah, that's it for the patch. I hope I covered everything. If you do have any questions regarding this patch, you can let me know in the comments. Feel free to share this video or the patch notes, which I will leave in the description, both the Japanese and Wikipedia translated ones. And that's it for me. I'll try to upload Splatoon content more often, but then again, I'm pretty busy in real life as of right now, so I'll try to do what I can do. I hope you enjoyed this video. You know I'm Charizard Tuber, and I hope to see you in another time and in another place.